So the IRS to go, this is the, they had the app last year and then they updated it again for this year. They've had it before that, but people are using it in order for them to track where they're going for that. But what we're going to do first is what you will notice is when you click on the link, it replaces your classroom page. So the easiest thing to do, instead of having it so you have to click back and forth, because we're going to need to fill out the fillable form for our 1040 EDZ, is if you right click on it and then you open in new tab, you will find that your classroom tab will still be open and then this page will come up as well. So why don't you go ahead and launch your 1040 EZ.
You just click with the roller.
Right, yep. You can right click on the link and click on in new tab.
Click with the roller.
Yes. Most people don't use the wheel too much though.
I did.
Okay, so I have up here my fillable form, and I also, did I link the same thing twice?
Yeah, they're both the same thing.
Huh. If you click on it now, you should have your 1040 EZ instructions will be working. If you refresh that page, it should be the bottom link then. Will be your instructions. You'll want to right click that and open it up on a new tab. So what I should have open should be your 1040 EZ instructions, your 1040 form, and then the other thing that you're going to need to have is, in order to fill out our taxes, is going to be a W-2. So I have already gone through and given you a W-2. That did not come across well. It looked much nicer at home. I worked really hard on this last night too. Oh well, I'll interpret the 1040, the W-2 comes across much nicer. I'll interpret how it's supposed to be. One of the other pieces of information that you need to know is, besides the W-2, you also have $488 in additional interest that must be reported.
What's this?
Okay, so we have instructions, fillable form, and then W-2. So when we take a look at our instructions, what I want you to do, it says on the very top we're going to put in your first name and initial. Okay, so go ahead and type in your first name. You are going to be printing these out and turning these in to me. Stay with me, Marcus. Don't go ahead.
What's your initial, like in the middle?
Yes. Social Security number. I really don't want your Social Security number. If you hit enter, your Social Security number can be 123. 1234. Okay? Because I'm not trying to collect your Social Security information. But when you fill out your tax form, is it important that you really do have the correct piece of information on there?
Most likely.
Yes. Okay. If a joint return, your spouse's first name and initial.
Jason.
None of you are married.
Oh, spouse. I'm not married.
Okay?
Me?
So,
It's different.
you would also need your spouse's Social Security number. Okay, so we are not going to fill that part out because we're not married. I'm married, but I'm not filling it out that way. Next thing you need to do is your home address. You can go ahead and fill in your actual home address, or you can use the school's address, either one.
If you have a POC instructions.
Got our address in there?
Now I need to find the PO box though.
Just put in the school address, please. 10 Circle Drive. We'll look that one up in a little bit later, okay? If you need to make your form bigger, you should find in the lower right-hand corner when you mouse over, you should have a plus and a minus sign. If you want to make it bigger like I did so you can see your text, you can certainly do that. Okay, foreign country name, providence, and foreign postal code we're not going to need to deal with. We are going to need to switch out now over to the W-2 that did not copy well. And what we need to do is get from box 1, and box 1 is right here. It says wages, tips, and other compensation. This 6887 is the employer identification number, so that's not this number, but it is going to be that next red number, the 11,357. So that is going to go in box number 1. Taxable interest. Do we have any taxable interest? How much? 488. Thanks, Blaine, for listening. I did say it before. And that is in your directions on Classroom. Okay, so
If you use like the dollar sign, do you use or this number?
you don't need to use a dollar sign. You don't have to type in your commas, but I think it makes life a little bit easier to line up your place columns. And you will want to put cents in. You don't want to leave it off because then it looks like you forgot about it. Okay. So, any unemployment compensation from the Alaska Permanent Fund dividends? What do you think?
Probably not.
No. So we'll put a 0 in there. Okay, so then we have to, in instruction number 4, add lines 1, 2, and 3. This is your adjusted gross income. Line number 5. You guys got your math done on that one okay? Add up $11,357 and $488. Okay, so line number 5. If someone can claim you or your spouse if a joint return as a dependent, check the applicable boxes below and enter the amount from the worksheet on back. All of you can be claimed as a dependent for the year 2014. Because again, it's 2015 right now, but you're in school. So you're going to click the box that says you. Now, we need to scroll to the back page or just down. And we are going to go to this section that says worksheet for line 5 dependents who checked one or both boxes. Okay, so the amount, if any, from line 1 on front. So what was the amount of our income? 11,357. Okay, so we need to take 11,357 and add to it 350. We're just going to follow the math. And that's going to give us 11,707. Did I do my math right? Anyone agree? You agree? Thank you for agreeing. Now, minimum standard deduction is $1,000. So enter the larger of line A or B here. So I'm going to enter 11,707 because A is bigger than B. So the standard deduction, if single, is $6,200. If married, filing jointly is $12,000. So what number are we going to put in? $6,200. So now E says enter the smaller of line C or D here. So we are going to put in 6,200. Exemption amount, if single, enter 0. Well, there you go. And then we add together lines E and F. So we have 6,200, and we have to enter the total here and on line 5 on the front. So we're going to take 6,200 and put it on line 5. So far, so good? Line 6 says subtract line 5 from line 4. So using your handy dandy calculator, 11,845 subtract 6,200 should give you 5,645, which is what Trina had calculated earlier. I'm having a hard time typing here. So, what we have just figured out in section 1 is really our income. We had to go through and take a look at the 2 different forms of income. Now, in this example, we only have one W-2 because we only had one job. And the other item that we had is we had some unearned income from like a savings account. We added those 2 together and then we figured out our taxable income from there. We subtracted those 2 from our standard deduction. Now we have to go through and figure out based on what we have already paid in, and if we look now on our W-2, it's really going to be this $357. It looks like it's supposed to be under Social Security. It just went down to the next row. If it would have copied over better, you would see that it fit into that box that said Social Security tax withheld. So the total amount of Social Security tax withheld is going to be, no wait, it's not. It's the $1,248. I lied again. It's this number here. It jumped down to that spot. Okay, so the total amount of federal income tax is $1,248. I'm sorry that you have to interpret the W-2 funky. Now, the next thing that we have is our earned income credit. And it says, see instructions. Okay? The earned income credit is a confusing part. So I would like you to turn around here. And we're going to read a little and hear a little bit about earned income credit.
Did you work for any part of last year? Did you earn, say, around $52,000 or less? If so, you may qualify for the Earned Income Tax Credit, or EITC. Some working families with 3 or more qualifying children could get as much as $6,000 or even more back from the IRS. Single workers with no children may also qualify for EITC. But each year, millions of workers miss out on this important tax credit. And every year, many workers may qualify for the very first time because they had a change in their financial status or their family or filing status. There are certain eligibility requirements, and the credit amount depends on your income, family size, and other factors. The average credit last year was more than $2,400. It's important that people who qualify get the credit, but it's also important to get it right. To find out if you qualify, use the EITC Assistant tool. Just visit irs.gov/EITC and click on the EITC Assistant tool. Remember, you must file a federal tax return to claim the credit. There are a couple of ways you can file your return and claim the credit for free. You can use brand name tax preparation software by going to irs.gov/freefile, or you can get help at any one of the thousands of volunteer tax help sites across the country. Just go to irs.gov and type VITA in the search field to find a location near you. So, if you earned around $52,000 or less from wages, self-employment, or farming, see if you qualify for the Earned Income Tax Credit. Because you worked, you earned it. So put EITC to work for you. File it, claim it, and get it right. Visit irs.gov/EITC for details.
Now, the Earned Income Tax Credit can be a little bit confusing. So they gave us a link right in that video to a website to go through and figure out whether or not you can qualify for their Earned Income Tax Credit. Let's say you need to log in. We are about halfway through a W-4 easy filling out form. So what we're going to do right now, you're going to go to this link right here that says EITC Citizen Status. You're going to click on that link and it's going to open up and it's going to ask you a series of questions to see whether or not you qualify for the EIT tax credit. So once you click on that link, the first thing it asks you, are you a citizen of the United States for all of 2014? You should be able to say yes. And what we're doing first is we're going through and figuring out their filing status. Okay, please select yes if either the following statements are true. You and your spouse were married and living together. You and your spouse were living together in a common law marriage. So none of you are married, so you would say no to that one. Mine is stuck. Anyone else stuck? Oh. Widowed. Have you been widowed?
Probably not.
Nope. Since you haven't been married, you're not going to be widowed. Okay. Please select yes if both of the following statements are true. Otherwise, select no. Your spouse died or you did not remarry. Okay. Again, they're just going through and asking the status of your filing. You were never married or your marriage was annulled. That would be us. We would say yes. Did you pay for more than half of the cost of keeping up your home for the 2014 tax year? The answer to that one would be no. And then when you get to the end of that for the filing status, it's going to go through and say that you're single. Okay? The next part we're going to go through is see if you had any information about a qualifying child. Okay? And it does tell you that not all children are considered qualifying children. So we have to go through, it's going to ask you 4 questions about residency, relationship, age, and joint return. Did you and your child have the same home in the United States for more than half the year? And we're going to say no. Do you have another child who may be qualifying for credit? We'll say no. And then it should tell you that you have no qualifying children. Would you agree? Okay. Next part is going to be eligibility. Do you have a Social Security number? Yes, everyone should have a Social Security number. Are you filling Form 255 for foreign earned income? Nobody is filing that. So we will say no. Was the amount of your investment income, that's going to be your unearned income, $3,350 or less, or more than $3,350? And what is the amount of our unearned income? $488. So it's going to be falling under the $3,350. Do we have earned income? Certainly, because we have a W-2. So we're going to say yes to earned income because we had a job. To be eligible for our EITC, you cannot be a qualifying child of another person. Did you or another person have the same main home in the United States for more than half of the tax year? You would say yes. If yes, are you that person's son, daughter, adopted child, stepchild, foster child, brother, sister, half-sister, blah, 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 blah. And you would say yes, because you're going to fall under one of those. And then you would hit next. Are you younger than the relative or permanently and totally disabled? So are you younger than that relative that you lived with? You would say yes. And then the next question is going to be, what was your age on December 31st of 2014? And we would be under 19. And at that point, it should tell us what? We are not eligible for the Earned Income Tax Credit. Would you agree? Now, one of the things that I saw when I was doing my research on our Earned Income Tax Credit is you had to be between the ages of 25 and 65 in order to calculate that. And I could have just told you that and left it there. But what I wanted to point out is for if you were talking to anyone else about filing a 1040EZ and you got to the earned income tax credit, and if they were within that age, you wouldn't know whether or not they could qualify for that. But this link, which is right on the IRS website, would walk them through to see if they would be able to be qualified for that amount of earned income tax credit. Okay? So everyone in here does not qualify for the earned income tax credit because you are below that tax range, and also you are being claimed as a dependent from somebody else. But that is a nice feature for some people that may need to use them. So we should be able to go back to our fillable W or 1040Z. So our earned income tax credit is going to be 0. Non-taxable combat pay election is going to be 0. We're going to add line 7 and lines 8A, and that should be 1,258. Do I have the wrong number? 1,248. No, you're right. I typed incorrectly. Now, the next part we have here is instruction number 10. It says tax. Use the amount on line 6 from above to find your tax in the tax table in the instructions. Then enter the tax from the table on this line. So now we already have our instructions open. Would you agree? So we're going to go to our 1040EZ instructions. And we have to go to the tax table. And really these instructions that are listed here will really walk you through step by step everything that we've done so far. But let me give you a heads up. Your tax table is way at the end. Okay, and you're going to find it on page 20, or on page 30. Page 30. And it will look like, it'll say in the top left-hand corner, the 2014 tax table. And what we need to do is we have to take our number from line 6, which is $1,248, and we need to find that on our tax table. And for those of you that have had me...
Line 6 is 5,600.
Yeah.
Good Lord, what did I do now?
563. You gotta take it from line 6.
Yes, line 6, 5,000... Yes, sorry, thank you. I said the wrong number. When we look at the tax table, if you've not had me teach you accounting payroll before, the first time you look at tax tables, it's going to be a little bit different, okay? So when we look here, we have 2 columns. We have at least, but less than. So if I earn $1,125, okay, this is an example, $1,125. What is my tax if I'm single? $1,125. Nope. 114, not 111. Because look right here. This number is twice. So I have 1,100 and I have 1,125. But look at it says less than 1,125. So that would be if you earn $1,124.99. Does that make sense? So if you earned at least $1,125 and we're single, our tax would be $114. Okay? So I just want to give you a heads up on how you read this portion of it. So we need to go, what is the number we need to do? The 5,000?
56.
So when we go here to the next page, we have to get in the 5,000. We have to go to the 5,600 to 5,650. So our tax should be 563. Do you see where you find it in that tax table? So then I'm going to take 563 and put it on line 10. Number 11, healthcare, individual responsibility. We don't have any. You can put 0 in there. So line number 12 is going to be add lines 10 and 11, and this is your total tax. So far, what we have determined that the total amount of tax that we owe on our earnings is $563. Now take a look at line number 13, 13A. If line 9 is larger than 12, subtract 12 from 9, and this is your refund. Do we have a refund or do we owe?
Refund.
We have a refund, so I'm going to take 1,248, subtract 563, and I get a refund of how much?
$685.
$685. How's that? And then notice, we have information right here. If we wanted to have that refund automatically put in to our bank account, so we would put in our routing number and our account number, and then you would say whether or not that's a checking account or a savings account. So it could be electronically deposited. And why would we opt for that?
So we don't have to worry about
So
it.
it's not stolen.
Okay, you don't have to. It's much faster. You get your money faster, because otherwise the federal government would have to print the check, then mail it back to you, then you get it, and you'd have to cash it. Whereas when the government goes through and processes this tax refund, for this case, they would automatically be able to just put that into your account, and you would get notification of it as well. So how did that seem? Not too bad? Relatively easy? Think you could do that on your own? Okay. What we are going to do is I'm going to have you print this out. Now, let's be a little bit careful when we print it out, because the first page is going to print with your name on it, correct? The second page doesn't have your name on it, but it should be the second page that comes out in the printer, if that makes sense. To print, in the lower right-hand corner, when you mouse there, you will get your little print icon. Don't go to your browser print. And then once that comes up, it should by default have my printer located down here. You can go ahead and print. And you will have your first page, and then you will also have your work page on the back, worksheet page for going through and calculating. Staple the two of them together, so don't take them out of order. So otherwise the worksheet won't go with your individual one.